sabotaging the much anticipated Wicked movie after over 2 years of hard work to bring it to life. Cynthia Erivo, the insanely talented actress and singer who's set to play Alphaba in the Wicked movie, has officially taken the phrase main character energy to a whole new level. But not in the way that you'd think. Oh no. Cynthia decided to turn a simple fan moment into a full-blown pity party. And trust me, it's giving cringe. Y'all, there is a lot to unpack here, so grab your popcorn and let's get right to it.
The AI of it all. Obviously, Cynthia was upset about it. What was your reaction when you saw it?
To give you some context, the Wicked fandom is thriving. Fans are hyped beyond belief, making edits, theorizing plots, and basically keeping the spirit of the Broadway classic alive as we wait for the movie to drop on November 22nd, 2024. So naturally, when one creative and harmless fan decided to give the movie poster a nostalgic twist, making it resemble the iconic Broadway artwork, people were here for it. But not Miss Cynthia herself. The fan edit, which let's be clear was harmless, dared to tweak the poster, giving Ariana Grande's Glinda a little extra sparkle and, oh no, slightly covering Cynthia's eyes with the brim of a hat. That's it. No facial features erased, no alterations to her stunning green complexion, just a simple tweak to match the Broadway vibe. But Cynthia, sweetie, she took it personally. All this fan did was try to match the new poster to this original Wicked poster, and as you can see, the brim of the hat covers the eyes, and this character has a red lippy on. So here's where the drama begins. Instead of shrugging it off, or dare I say celebrating the fans' enthusiasm, Cynthia went on a rampage. She blasted her feelings all over Instagram, comparing the edit to offensive AI-generated images and saying it erased her. She even called it the most offensive thing she'd ever seen. And immediately people were like, girl, what? You're playing a fictional witch who is literally painted green and you're pressed about a fan edit? Here is what she said. This is the wildest, most offensive thing I have ever seen. Equal to that awful AI of us fighting. Equal to people posing the question, is your P word green? None of this is funny. None of it is cute. It degrades me. It degrades us. The original poster is an illustration. I am a real life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer, because without words, we is an illustration. I am a real life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer, because without words, we communicate with our eyes. Our poster is an homage, not an imitation. To edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase me, and that is just deeply hurtful. She dropped this poetic line saying we're communicating with our eyes. That was the cherry on top because, to be honest, fans blasted her for having the most blank, soul-draining stare of all time on the same poster. She is raving so much.
So that's a perfect unpack. Yeah, but whether we realize it or not, that is a perfect segue. What do you think?
So I think her in general as an actress, as a Black woman, I think how she felt about it was personal. She took it personal. And who knows what that woman had been through ever since she's even been casted for that role, or what she had to go through on set, so she had to be, I think her frustration and her hurt was probably coming from within for sure. And she took it personal, and it shouldn't have been taken personal. People do edits and they do all that stuff all the time. But I also do know that any type of advertisement, good or bad, is good advertisement. You getting people to watch. You're getting people to look. So they have people that go out and they do these things, intentionally to try to get that publicity, for sure.
Thank you, Melanie.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's crazy. But I mean, who knows? Like I said, who knows what she went through trying to make this movie or play this character. Some people really get into character when they're doing this. So by her being, they overly dramatic and all that.
I love that you brought that up, because a
You
lot has
know?
been brought up about method acting. And in fact, Ariana Grande has been brought up about method acting. So that's a very good point that you made. I mean, I love all the points because, my first reaction would have been, wow. And I think we tend to react the way we think, maybe. And,
Mhm.
but then I know that I've been in a heat of the moment, misunderstood a communication, and kind of turned on somebody who was really on my side. So I get what you're saying, Carrie. But I'm like you. Any advertisement is good advertisement, and we never know with Hollywood. Yeah,
Right.
And do you
I
remember in the beginning, they were mad that she was black. Do you remember
yeah
that when they
yeah
first found out who they had called to play her, the witch? It was so much backlash coming from what did they call them? The wicked, whatever, the
I
people, the
did not
followers,
know
whatever.
about that.
There was so much backlash because she was black. They were like, "Oh my gosh, how could you do this? And this is going to be terrible." And it was like really a lot of hateful stuff that was being said just because she was black. I remember that
Yeah.
from when they initially started, talking about they were, doing the trailers and all that for it. But
So
yeah,
can I ask you a
girl.
question really quickly? I kind of wonder about the fan because I'm that overzealous fan that when I see something that inspires me, I might try to do a replica of it, And that was one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that I thought about. And I wonder if, in hindsight, if Cynthia kind of feels like, you know what, maybe I did overreact. Maybe I should make a statement about it. And I think if I did react that way, I would be led to say, you know what, maybe I should make a statement because I don't know. I thought it came across and then we have to remember the content creator Anna Oop that's doing it. This is her opinion and her take on it. So the way
Mm-hmm.
she read the context of I'm kind of, there's a thought in my head that, well, it kind of sounds like that's the way I would have read it too. But I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it was so much like we were talking, like Miss Regina and I were talking about being offended. And 9 times out of 10, when we're offended, it's like you said, it's something deeper within us. And we all have husbands, and our husbands it feels like they enjoy offending us. But right, the children enjoy offending us, but what it is, it's something sore in you already. It's not even the person's intention necessarily to offend you. It's something in us. Yeah, don't take it personally. Easier said than done, especially when you're traumatized. And that's like you said, and Carrie, and you pointed out that that's probably the root of her offense. They were already mad that she's black, right?
Right. Like they weren't going to be happy either way. And girl, you get
And
your
she's
bag.
went through some
She got her
extreme
bag.
physical changes. Have y'all
Mm-hmm.
noticed that has to affect? I know
Right.
the physical changes my body has
Exactly.
gone through. I go through, even when I cut my hair, when I cut my long hair off, I cried. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we are emotional creatures as women.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is just so the frustrating truth. As
I
much
feel
as
bad for her.
yeah, I don't. Like Carrie said, she get in the bag. But
yes,
at what
but
price?
like, girl, you in your bag.
Yeah.
She's in her feeling. Yes. Is it at the cost of her sanity? Is it at the cost of, her
What about her co-star Ariana?
true to
Because
herself? Yeah.
yeah, later on in the video, Ariana has the answer for it. So every one of anybody who's involved in that production, just like if I were to do some craziness on this platform and it's not my own, or even on my platform because I represent something a part of this platform, I really hope I never do that. I'm with y'all. I agree with you. Yeah, and I hope that she does better. We all have an opportunity, and man, sometimes I'm not so easy on people. So I guess I'm good cop tonight because Marjorie knows I was going in on somebody earlier in the week. A couple of people actually. So she got me right.
Yeah. And it's
Thank you,
really and it's really like you said, and that's exactly it. It's the Lord. The Lord checks me. So I'm just saying to you what the Lord has had to say to me, what the Lord has had to correct in the ways that God has had to correct me in my thinking, because I can be offended. I am already one of them people. I got an attitude all day long. Everything get on my nerves, and I got a sensitive nose. So don't let me smell some funk. I'm really pissed off. I could be pissed off all day.
Me too.
Right? I really could. So
Mm.
That's
And
when we got
I
a
think
Miranda
we as
Lambert
women
in,
are
throw
like
that red
that.
lipstick on,
We
that
will
makeup.
Yeah.
we will
Sorry,
carry
guys.
stuff with us and wait for the opportunity to make a scene. And I think that's just women in
patient.
general because I do that. I'll be mad about something that happened on Monday, and here it is Friday, and my husband said I put too much salt in the spaghetti, and he is my punching bag. I'm going off.
Right.
Look here, if you don't like it, you could have been in here cooking. Like, why are you so angry? But I just think, and I can honestly say maybe it's not just all women, or maybe it's not just a woman thing. I think people in general, we're human.
Sure. Yeah.
Some
sure.
stuff, especially like we said, if it bothers me and I don't talk about it at the time, then I know I'm going to carry it with me.
Yes.
I know I'm going to
know-
look for the opportunity,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to write that down and clip this part out somehow. I don't know. I don't have control over editing anything, but I'll make a note of it, the
Yeah, tell me.
timestamp, because I think we should do a part 2 to that. How do we, recognize certain things, and when should we speak forward, right? If we're collaborating, I can say my hope would be, and if I had to put a label on it, I guess you could kind of view me as autistic. I speak what I see, maybe. I don't know. And I try to be discernment about whatever. I'm gonna let you take it from here because I think you know what I'm talking about. So help me out, sister. I feel like I'm flailing.
No, I'm laughing because me and Zyree, my youngest daughter, were just talking about that today. We were riding in the car because I'm like, I was probably an autistic child, but they don't always have the diagnosis for it because there's so many different, people was mad at Amanda Seals, not the fun. Oh yeah, man.
Not the
I know you're
funk.
sensitive. So yeah, I know, I be smelling something, I'll be pissed off. But
it does not pass the scratch and sniff test, and we just start going
Jesus. I'll be having to
goes
pray.
off.
I'll be having to pray to keep my
It's
mind right.
triggers. She has triggers.
Absolutely. But I was thinking as a child, because I used to hide a lot. I hated being around people, and I still kind of do. I much appreciate my solitude and being by myself, and being around people drains me kind of. And my youngest daughter was like, well, that's probably where I get it from, where she gets it from, being but people were mad at Amanda Seals for self-diagnosing herself autistic. But it's a reality. If there's so many different levels on the spectrum, you don't really know where you are if you're not properly diagnosed, if you're not assessed. So, I'm not a doctor. I can't assess myself, but I just say I noticed certain characteristics of myself where you don't see the world like everybody else.
Right.
Too much salt.
Right.
Call me the salty cracker, waterman.
Yeah. That's so true though. But and instead of being offended, right, we have to look into ourselves. And when I taste, if I taste my food and I know it's too salty, I just point it out before somebody else says something. It's already too salty, right? So we gotta water it. I had to rinse off the other day because I salted too much.
I like to get in.
We're
human. I like to get in front of it. If I have to lean into it, I'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
No, I remember. So there was a time we were both agitated, me and my husband. Nothing was going right. There was just nothing going right. And when I mean nothing, y'all. We barely had anything as it is, right? And so he was trying to do something nice, and I just love him. But Andrew, my younger son, he was a baby at the time. He was in a walker, and you remember him. He was a big burly little boy.
Yeah.
So my husband was cooking in this electric skillet we had at our apartment, whatever. He made the last of the food we had, y'all. And my son was walking around in his little walker, but he was just in reach of the cord to the frying pan. So he cooked the food. It was done. Everything was ready. He was just waiting for me to get home. And he turned and looked, and he said it was just slow motion. My son grabbed the cord, pulled the whole thing on the floor. All the food was on the floor. We didn't have nothing else.
Bless.
And then it was just like, when I came home, it was just like, I had my mindset. I was already like, oh yeah, I'm going to go home. This is what's going to happen. And then once I got there, and then it wasn't there. So that I was irritated. He was irritated. It was just so many things that just factored into that. And it's just like, we were still able to just look at each other and be like, okay, I know you had a rough day. You see, clearly I had a rough day, like,
Yeah.
that was a moment in our relationship when I realized, like, it's not all about you all the time. And I just feel
Oh
like,
man, that's amazing.
you feel like, sometimes you just feel like it's all you. It's all you. You're the one being attacked, or you're the one that's not being heard or being misunderstood, or and a lot of times your husband feels the same way
Well, I know it's
in your
okay for
relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. And I know it's okay. I know my husband would have no problem with me sharing this. My Lord King husband, Rusty, that and as the caretakers, the hunters and the gatherers, and we're the nurturers. I think that's the way it goes. You'll have to correct me if I'm misspeaking. Anyway, but the alpha status as being caretakers, that they don't want to burden us either, and so a
Hmm.
lot of things he just won't speak on because he's like, and man, I love that story, Carrie. That's amazing because that's what it's about. If we can just, in the midst of it, I mean, we've even been right in the middle of a fight and just started laughing at each other, like just literally, like, what are we doing? This is
That's
insanity
God.
at its
That's
finest.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, amen, amen. Holy
Me
Ghost.
being able to apologize, like, if I know, like, dang, and then it's like, dang, I know I was wrong. And God was telling me, just shut up. Just don't say another word. And I just had to just keep going, and then it's just like, dang, now I'm looking back on it. I heard God too. And I heard him clear. I heard him. I just ignored him. I didn't do.
Tell the truth.
I
He's like,
mean,
he told you to end it 20
Amen.
minutes ago, but you just had to keep saying something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
okay,
mean,
okay.
just as a woman in general, yeah.
That's real.
Yes, girl, I am with you on that. Not listening because I'm really big about wanting to respect my husband. I always want to be a lady. I don't want to, embarrass him. We were in the process. I'm going to make this real short. We were in the process of buying this house, and we were not this house. We were in the process of building one, and it was all a scam. It was crazy. So we finally got an appraiser, and he was honest, and he was talking to us, and I was so angry about the stuff that I was seeing, and they preyed on our desperation to need to get out of the situation that we were in and actually buy something of our own. And it was a crazy deal to begin with. So I'm on the phone and I'm like, my rage, I'm just raging. And I said the D word, like DI, like I was like, these guys are trying to do us around. And my husband, Rusty, looks at me and he was like, I can't believe you just said that. And I looked at him, I'm like, well, I didn't mean to. And then it just made me angrier. And I just went,
Yeah, like,
killed
because
it.
you were already upset.
Amen. Yes.
We
Yeah,
still laugh
for
about
sure.
that today. And Mr. Lauren Banks, if you're out there, man, if you can hear me, thank you for that, because he was like, look, we understand if your marriage could survive this process, you are good. So anybody who's ever bought a home, they understand.
Yes. For sure.
Or had to move with the family or any of it, any of
Yeah.
these stories that any Carrie sharing, man, when we
Mm.
can do that, that's like, yes, it's the Lord, it's Holy Ghost. All
Amen.
right.
I'm gonna say mine. I'm gonna tell my story, and then we'll move on to the next topic. So my story is my husband, and when we went to Texas, we met his brothers, and just to try to make it as short as possible, his brother had a big white pickup truck, and we were getting in to go to the next place, and in my mind, I'm like, out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, we need one of these. I'm like, right. I didn't think anything of it. Nobody mentioned anything of it. It wasn't a big deal. I didn't think twice about it. Okay. Fast forward. We had the birthday party. It was beautiful. We had fun. We home, and then we're laying in the bed. I'm laying in the bed chilling. I think I was reading or on my phone or something. And he asks like, so you ain't happy with the cars we got? And I'm like, or you ain't satisfied or something? He asks. And I'm like, I immediately get pissed off.
What are you talking about?
He said it so gently. He didn't have an attitude. He said it so gently, and I was just like, talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And then he proceeded to explain. Well, when we were in the truck, you said this. Does that mean that you don't feel satisfied or whatever? And I couldn't understand how he got that from me saying that. And he had to explain to me. He had to explain to me how it looks to a man when your brother's wife mentions that, says something like that, what a man automatically, another man.
What did he hear? What he heard, or how he felt he heard it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I don't know what the discussion was after that. So, men talk to each other, and
They do.
So
Yeah.
I'm I start thinking like, I don't know what he might have said to my husband that had my husband like, let me check my wife. Let me check my wife.
Oh,
Because you don't know what's going on. And us as women, we take offense to having to behave a certain way around men, but men are protecting us from men. Our men that love us are protecting us from men.
And then
if we take it as that and not as, he just trying to tell you what to do. Because the first thing women in our minds, you tell me what to do. I am who I am. I mean, I say what I want. That's the first mindset you really want to have. But if you don't recognize that your husband loves you, he's trying to protect what we have, what you and he have from the outside world. Because if an outside man has any inclination that he can get in between you,
that something's wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So,
That makes sense.
let me tell you. When I see a pickup truck, that's still the first thing I think. I'm sorry. I was telling him I had to laugh. Because I'm like, no, stop it. You don't think that. No, you don't need one. You got enough. But it wasn't even like I'm thinking that because I didn't feel like we had enough. I just, I'm just thinking like, oh, I would love to have one of these.
Oh, this is nice. This is nice.
You see it,
Yeah.
you speak
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, I gotta have this truck.
But-
I'm gonna go through anything to get it, but
But
I understand what
words.
you're saying.
But my words, we need it, as if my needs aren't already met. Right?
Not already met. Yeah.
I didn't catch that part. I'm glad you emphasized that because they did hear that. I was not actively listening to that part of it either. Thank you.
Yeah. And my husband had to point that out. Curses are very real. Amen to that. So that's like perfect. I just love how the Lord is just flowing this so smooth. Just
Amen.
so smooth. So thank you for that, because that was a perfect segue